Hello, and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today's episode, we have Netflix 314th film from 2020. It's the Italian action thriller called The Beast, or in Italian, La Belva. It's directed by Ludovico Di Martino and stars Fabrizio Gifuni, Lino, Musella, and Monica Piseddu. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thanks for coming along on this ride with me as we go through all the Netflix original films in the order of release. This one, obviously, it's an international film. We've got quite a few in the next few weeks to come up as well. So if you are keen on checking this one out and don't want it spoiled for you, give us a pause and come back later on, because we're going to get into it with our fast flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one's about a man's daughter is kidnapped and he will do anything to get her back. Ooh, intriguing. How did this end up on Netflix? What's some information about this film? It's been a while, I guess, but this is sort of the trend that we used to have with a lot of the international films, where there is very little information to find out about this film. This was released or was produced through Warner Brothers Italy, which is quite interesting. The only other stats I could find was that a day after its release, it entered Netflix top 10 shows in the UK at number 5. So sort of charted pretty early in the UK. Other than that, there's very little to say. It was released on Netflix on the 27th of November 2020. I think it was filmed in and around Rome. It looked like Rome to me. It did have some nominations. It was nominated at the Italian National Syndicate of Film Awards for Best Actor for Fabrizio Gifuni, and he was also nominated for Best Actor at the Golden Siak Award. So the guy who plays Leo in this film. This film has some translations around the world. In Finnish, it's called Fury of the Beast. In Hungarian, it's called The Monster Inside You. That sort of makes it sound a bit like a horror film, doesn't it? In Russian and Arabic, it's called Monster. In Chinese, it's called Beasts of the World. That one makes it sound like it's like a Godzilla vs. Kong sort of film. And in Turkish, it's called A Father's Anger. That's not too bad, realistically. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, doesn't have a consensus from critics. It has 3 reviews. 2 of them are fresh, 1 of them are rotten. The audience does have a consensus. It sits rotten on 31%. That's on more than 50 ratings. On IMDb, it sits at a 5.2 out of 10 on nearly 5,000 ratings. Letterboxd, it's only had a bit over 2,000 ratings. Sits at a 2.4 out of 5. It's been logged by nearly 3,000 people. I guess that's sort of a mediocre look at this, isn't it? What are my early thoughts? This film, anyone who's seen the Liam Neeson film Taken, this is Taken, but in Italian. It looks good, the action's good, but it does come from that same cookie-cutter outline that you've seen in so many films before. So, not too original, but you can still watch it. It's watchable. So, let's talk about the characters in this one. So, Leonida Riva, Leonida Riva, he is the main protagonist. He is everything this film is all through his eyes. He's an ex-military personnel who is struggling. He refuses to do therapy. He's back at home. He relies on painkillers, and he's had to distance himself from his family by choice because of his PTSD, his trauma. He doesn't want to impact their lives, but in saying that, he will go out of his way to do anything for his kids. I guess the main connection, and obviously he's chasing his daughter this whole film because his daughter's kidnapped, and he'll do anything to save her. So the son is the other child that he has, I guess, and we see early on that his son hates his dad for never being around. But over the course of the film, I guess that he probably has the best development in a character, because he begins to get feel sympathy for his dad and respect him a bit, and he almost comes full circle in wanting him in his life. Teresa, the daughter who's kidnapped, she loves her dad. She's the opposite of the son, I guess. We don't get to see much of her because she's kidnapped most of this film, and he'll obviously do anything for her. The other characters in this film, the mum, Angela. So obviously she's living a distanced life from her husband. She's got the kids. This is a pretty much nothing role, other than she loves a dart. She loves a smoke. The only other character that is the cop in this. So we've got the cops who are trying to solve it as well. Simonetti is the head police officer in charge of finding Teresa Riva's daughter. Characteristically bad throughout as a cop. Even throw in these silly plot lines that him and his team think that Riva are in on, the kidnapping of his own daughter. He does have a redeeming moment at the end for all of these horrible lines and actions we see from him throughout the film. The director in this film, Ludovico Di Martino. 10 directing credits, all in Italian, bit of a mixed bag, television, film, some short films. So, obviously, has some work in Italy. Let's talk about the scenes. What are some scenes that stood out? What are some scenes that I didn't like? So, let's start with the ones that I liked. There's a couple of good things. There's a moment where, and there's a lot of the action scenes, the car chases, they're all good. They're solid sort of things. There's a moment where Riva stops his car at this gas station, and he goes and tries to get some information from this prostitute, and the prostitute comes back out with all these henchmen, and he just takes them all out. That was cool. There's this tension, I guess, when Angela goes home at one stage. When the daughter's missing, she goes home, she sees that the house door was open, the tent city there was good. There's this flashback of Riva being tortured. We get lots of flashbacks of him being tortured quickly throughout. And then we get this really long take of him being tortured and his team coming to rescue him. That was cool camera work. It was in like these tunnels underground, the tracking, the cut to him, the cut backwards and forwards. It was really clever, especially when we went back to him in the present day where he's walking the streets and he's super paranoid. I thought that was really good editing and really good camera work. We do have this shot of the son, Mattia, and... I'm not going to put that in bad scenes, actually. I'm going to pause on that one. I didn't mind. There's this dialogue dump from Angela, the mum, when she's talking to Mattia, the son, about the dad's past and their relationship and why they are where they are. I thought that was all right. It ended poorly because she just says sorry and walks off, so that was a bit funny. And Mattia, again, helps his dad escape the hospital with a paperclip and acts as a hostage. I thought that was pretty exciting as well. Things I didn't like. I'm going to put this... I don't know why I had this in the scenes I like. There's this shot of the son, Mattia, where he's reading his dad's military file, and he's just sitting in a corridor almost hyperventilating. And unfortunately, the guy that played Mattia, there's some pretty ordinary moments from him as well. We have a scene... Like, this is at the start. Mattia, he leaves his sister in a diner all by herself, instead of going to see the dad where they'd agreed to go have dinner, and he joins his friends out the back of this restaurant to sort of smoke and talk really derogatorily against girls. I thought that was pretty ordinary, not needed. We have Riva at a stage trying to find his daughter. He goes to this club to chase down the criminals. It just went on a bit too long. Like, it wasn't really needed. We have Mattia. He's talking to the cops, and the lead cop, Simonetti, sort of tells him, stay calm and be there for your mum. And then we just see Mattia. He just starts banging on the table, and he looks really angry. It was just laughable. Finally, Simonetti, the police officer, him with his partner, they confront this gang at this warehouse or whatever, and they all pull guns, and they're all like, no one shoot, and then someone shoots, all the bad guys get taken out, and then we just get this cut of him at this tap, washing his hands and then drying with a cloth. It's almost like, washing himself free of whatever happened. I don't know. It just wasn't needed in this film. Pretty ordinary. Themes, ideas. What's this film trying to say? There's obviously family is a big part of this. That idea of doing anything for your family, protecting those that you care about, and then also through Riva. And we do meet one of his ex-military colleagues for a brief moment in this film too, but that idea of the impacts of war, the PTSD, the prescription drug dependence, the isolation, the loneliness, the unwillingness to get help, as well as the physical injuries, not just mental as well. So, a little bit to take away. What else did I take away from this film? I think the thing you take from this film is that dads are very protective of their daughters. Doesn't matter what happens, the dads are always going to be there for their daughter. All right, questions, ponderings, thoughts, ideas. This is just a moment for me to sort of discuss a couple of things that confused me about the film. I guess there's a moment I was very confused. This was right at the start of the film. We've had the introduction where Riva's sort of on the sidelines, creepily watching his daughter play sport. The coach and him keep glaring at each other. They have a bit of a biffo moment. And we cut to sort of this moment where the mum is getting ready in front of a mirror, and then the sports coach walks in, and it's almost like, she's getting ready in front of the mirror. It's almost like there was some weird feeling that they were together, and then it sort of I didn't realize that that was the son. Like, the son's the rugby coach and the brother of the daughter, and I just thought it was a romantic partner. I thought that was really weirdly done, to be honest, because he's so much younger, obviously. So that felt weird. And I sort of mentioned this. I like that scene where Angela goes home and sees the door open, and like the tension I felt there because she was so scared. But the other side of this that I thought twice in this scene was that it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, why did she go home from the police station in the first place? There was no reason for her to go home. Like, the police are all at the police station trying to find her daughter. And then the other thing that really stood out was, why did she leave her son at the police station? Why would you leave your teenage son at the police station by himself while you just randomly go home for no reason? It was just to set up this moment where she could see Reaver and either turn him in or help him out. But it just didn't make sense that the son didn't come too. That really frustrated me. All right, I'm ready to wrap this up. We give the film a rating out of 5 on this show. For me, it's a watchable film. There's some good action. It's got a short runtime. Like, even if you can predict the ending of this film within the first 5 minutes and know where it's going to go because you've seen so many films like Taken that are going to give this film away. I'm giving it a 2.5 out of 5. Not a horrible score, but it sort of sits there in the middle. We're on socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. The question I wanted to put on socials for this episode is how long is the Beast locked away for? I know this is a big spoiler. He gets locked away at the end. He actually has to do time for his crimes. Like, my question, I guess, about this, like, about being locked away, he commits a lot of crimes throughout this film. Like, do they charge him with all the murders that he committed? Is he just there until he completes some therapy? Like, what's the background behind his sentencing? How long's he there for? Because I'm intrigued. Like, does he get out and then we get another film from him? I don't know. We're back next week. We do have another international film next week. We're switching it up a bit because this one's from South Korea. It is from 2020. It's the science fiction psychological thriller called The Call, or in Korean, Call. It's directed by Lee Chung-hoon and stars Park Shin-hye, Jong Jong-seo, Kim Sung-rang, and Lee Al. I'm excited. I think this one, from memory, has had some pretty good word of mouth about it, so I'm keen for that one. Hopefully you are too. Hopefully you can join me next week. Give it a watch before then. As always, thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week.